You're listening to RTI Audio, powered by Rocky Top Insider. This is Pancakes and Bacon with VFL, Kyler Kerbison, and Reed Bacon.
Hello, Vol Nation. Welcome to another episode of Pancakes and Bacon. I'm your host, as always, Kyler Kerbison, joined with Reed Bacon. We got another great one coming off a win, beating the Little Brothers from Nashville, Vandy. So we're going to go over things that happened during the game, shout out the seniors, look ahead to what we got coming down the pipe. But first, before we get into any of those things, Reed, how we doing, bud?
Yeah, anchored down, baby.
Yeah.
Go Doors.
Yeah, Commodores. 10 losses in a row, baby.
Happy Thanksgiving to everyone. I hope everyone had a great Thanksgiving weekend. And it's a tradition like none other. Like a tradition like none other, just like the Masters. You know, every spring you got the Masters. Every Thanksgiving you got Tennessee just whipping up on Vandy. So,
nice
Kyler,
leftovers whooping Vandy's butt.
What's that?
I said, nice full stomach of leftovers whooping Vandy's butt.
Yeah, exactly. So, how was your Thanksgiving?
It was good. Enjoyed it here in Nashville. It was actually just me and my wife this year. Just so happened that way, and it was great. We just did exactly what we wanted to do. We made food for ourselves, hung out all day, had a relaxing time. It was nice.
Good. No, I'm glad to hear that.
You know, your probability of having a fight goes way down when it's just two of you. So I'm sure everybody has those little family quarrels at the Thanksgiving and Christmas gatherings.
No one wanted to bring up Joe Biden or Donald Trump or,
Exactly. Or the time you took this guy from me in high school, or I got in trouble because you did this, or I mean, it could be anything.
Or Joe Milton's not good and other people think he's amazing.
Yeah, or people are delusional and think, yeah, Joe is the reason that we were able to win games this year. And thank goodness he was here because we probably would have won 4 games. Like, yeah.
Hey, this is a joke I used. I was talking with a buddy he'll admit that Joe's not very good, but he's one of these like Joe's the ball for life. He stayed. He could have left again. He's been a great teammate. He's given us everything. I'm like, you know what? This is what I said to him. I said, I wish I was a high level, like vice president or president, and Vol Nation was my owner. Because if that was the case, I wouldn't have to produce. I could just be a good guy, be a good teammate, be there. And I would just get rewarded with tons and tons of money and bonuses and accolades and stuff, because it's never personal with you and I when we talk about people. It's not personal. It's just we call it like we see it, and you either produce or you don't. But it's funny that people have a guy's back and will die on the hill when it's a production-based business, and we could sit down here and show you this happened here and this didn't happen here and whatever. So,
I mean, yeah, it really is production based. And I don't know why people seem, and it's not just Tennessee fans, it's people in general in like the football media landscape world, that they don't want to say it's the play of any of these guys. I think it's because of that, like, amateur tagline.
Yeah, and I get that.
That people don't want to call out the players. They want to say, well, the offensive coordinator, well, the defensive coordinator, well, the AD, well, all the adults in the room is kind of what you're putting it towards. And I get that, but guys at 18 can kill other people and fight for our country. And here they are at 18 playing football games. What level of accountability were you holding them at?
Yeah,
because it's like if I'm on the team, I hold my coaches and other people to a high standard. I also hold my teammates to a high standard. And I go, you're not getting the job done. This is not good enough. Sorry, if you think that you're good, you think that you're fine, it's not good enough. It's not fine enough. So
yeah, and I think my favorite one, I told you about it when I was scouring the depths of the Twitter's verse, the X verse, is there was someone that said, about to sneeze. Excuse me. I'm allergic to the guy, man. I'm allergic to him. So I think my favorite one is it said, yeah, Joe gave his all, and he did what he could with a handicapped offense, with handicapped play calling. And I just thought and just laughed, and I said, man, this poor individual. This poor individual is just talking about something they don't know. It would be like me talking about economics. It'd be me talking about teaching Spanish to someone. And it's just funny. It's like you do understand that the offense was handicapped, but because of him.
Exactly.
It's not reversed. But anyways, we'll get there. We'll get there. I had a great Thanksgiving. It was low key and relaxing as well. It was bittersweet. It was the first time that I hadn't seen my Memphis crew on Thanksgiving in multiple years, and I missed them. We'll get to see them for Christmas, which will be great. But bittersweet not seeing them. But it was nice just to hang out here, not having to travel. I got to hang out with Megan and her family, so went and ate with her family at 1:00, and then my mom cooked at 5, and so it was great. But then, just getting to relax, watch some ball, hang out, just not do anything is great. I'm great at not doing really anything besides just watching ball, relaxing, maybe getting a workout in for a couple days. It's like I'm like I've said this a bunch of times on here, but I'm a 3-day, 4-day guy, and then after that, I'm like, all right, I gotta get back to hitting the gym good. I got to get back to work. I need to get back to eating right. But for those couple, yeah, exactly. But let me say this about the seniors. It's a unique time. You and I were talking about it and how you and I were talking about it, about how we wanted to bring it up on here. Yeah. And we know some people went through it that don't have any eligibility. We know that some people that went through it that could come back. The best article I saw was, and Jack and Ryan both were great about putting it out. Hey, here's who's going through. Here's who's not going through. And so that was great game day wise. Because I did look at that. I was sitting outside watching the game with my dad, and I'm looking through who went through senior day, who didn't, because I wasn't there. But then I love that Ryan put out something on Rocky Top Insider, and it's who can come back and who is out of eligibility. And then in the article, it will say, hey, they can return, but they did go through or they didn't go through. So to start with the individuals who I want to give a major kudos and a major shout out to are the ones that are out of eligibility. But, Tank McCullough setting a record for tied for the most or second most starts in the University of Tennessee history. That's impressive. Now, I know that I've had some ups and downs with Jalen, and there were times that I thought he was really solid and really good, and there's times other that I thought he could have played better.
Mm-hmm.
But for him to stay around, for him to be a good leader in that back end, for him to have made some plays. By the way, I haven't brought this up. I thought his swag this season was really on point, which doesn't really matter about anything, but I was really enjoying his swag.
You like it, though.
I was really enjoying his swag this season, but that is something that no one can take away from him. Now, whether it was during the highs of the high with Tennessee in the 90s and you start that many games, or whether it's you get a COVID year and we got some down years, it doesn't matter, man. Like, you still started that many games, so you were good enough to start. and you were durable enough. And those are two very impressive things. So
Yeah, I think he ties Juwan James with the most.
Juwan was a fabulous player, by the way.
Fabulous.
So shout out to Tank. Roman Harrison, one of my favorites that just never gets talked about. And I probably would have not even really thought about him as highly as I do if I was not doing this pod and going back and watching games. But the guy was relentless. And I, I don't necessarily see him having a career in the next in the NFL because of just genetics. I mean, he looks great, but I don't know if he's tall enough and big enough to play that outside.
He's fast enough.
Yeah, whatever the measurables may be, but the guy's motor and effort and energy was second to none, and I will always love that and respect that. That's a guy that I would absolutely play next to 7 days a week, and I hope nothing but the best for all these guys. But if that guy puts his motor to whatever else he's doing, I mean, he'll be great. So good for him. AB, we all love Aaron Beasley.
Can't say enough about him.
No, I mean, just a super solid football player. Another guy that I feel like maximized his ability and his potential.
I think so too. I don't know if he's, the prototypical linebacker that you might see. And I remember, comparing him to Jalen Reeves-Maybin of back in the day, that it's a smaller build, but still just like ability to cover, ability to blitz. And I just think back to like that Clemson game last year and just dominance. Like he was running rampant through that Clemson offense. So I love what Aaron Beasley has brought. I thought he was a great tandem with Jeremy. And I was expecting big things out of him this year and thought if we can just get one other guy with him. And I don't know if we really got that this year. Injuries, some guys not quite stepping up, but Aaron has earned my respect. He has done what he needed to do as a Vol. And yeah, I love him as a player.
I think he's one of those guys that, he didn't have a big game against Vandy. He didn't have a big game against a UTEP or UTSA. Like he balled out in big games. I mean, that Orange Bowl game was filthy, and everyone got to see that on a national stage. I will remember how well he played against Pitt. The game where we played him at Pitt. I mean, there's just so many like bigger games that he stepped up to the plate and brought it when we needed it. So that was great. Karat Garland, another guy that I would have not really known anything
totally
about.
Agree.
I would have not known anything about it if I was not going back and rewatching all these games and taking notes and diving into the team. But another guy that super solid player, super solid teammate, meaning like at practice, he was just always doing his job. Like you never heard a bad thing about him. I mean, just one of those good, I don't want to say locker room guys in a bad way, but just a darn good player.
Unselfish attitude too, because he didn't get as many reps as everybody else, but you don't see the guy complaining to the media or saying he's going to quit. I'm transferring. Like he's just
right.
I'm gonna stick this out. Also, guys in that situation, you can approach that one of two ways. Like, how humble are you to say, "Oh, it's me. Okay, what can I do to be better at this? What can I do to be better than that guy? Because he's obviously outperforming me."
Right.
But not a lot of guys are like that. They're just like, "There's no way he's better than I am." It's like, well, he knows the plays better than you. He's running his routes crisper than you. He's catching more balls than you. What the frick did you how would you grade if he's better? Huh? Because he has 3 less inches on his vert? That ain't it.
Yeah. No, agreed. So good for him. Kamal, a guy that I really liked ever since he got to Tennessee. And I found myself telling people that I thought he was our best cover corner, and then I was having to defend him and his play. And, after the Florida game, everyone's like, Reed, like, what's your guy doing? I said, I don't have an answer for that. But The guy was an ultimate competitor, and I did get frustrated with him after during that South Carolina game. But
oh yeah,
I guess that's just like I said, man. Like that's just who dudes are. Sometimes it doesn't matter what's going on. Like you just can't. Like, you can't take the dog out of them, bro. Like you just can't. I mean,
there was just in reference, there was like a receiver for the God, was it the Lions that lost this past weekend? Who played Baltimore in the NFL?
last night Baltimore played San Diego Chargers, or I mean, the
Was
Los
that
Angeles.
it? I think that might have been it. I think it might have been it, but it was like they were down. Oh no! It might. Yeah, it was the Cardinals guy. Yeah. So there was like a Cardinals receiver scored a touchdown right at the end of the game. Greg Dortch, right at the end of the game to make it 37-14, and he did the too small. So, like to make the game 14, like make it.
Oh yeah,
14. He did too small. Guess what? The guy's 5'7".
The one that caught the ball.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who did the too small signal? I'm like, buddy, this ain't the time.
He's got that little man syndrome that just drives him though. That just drives him to be good.
Every single person has done that to him. So he was like, I scored a touchdown. I have to do it.
Facts. Yeah, you just can't take it away from somebody. But I thought Kamal was a darn good player for us. It just was unfortunate that his bad plays were just magnetized because they were either a big game or they were just that boneheaded. But and then you got Ramel Keaton. I like Ramel a lot. I always liked him when we went to practice. I always thought he was good, silent assassin. It came out that he was injured to start the year. So that can change some things for some people. I still thought that he would have been a little bit better for us this year. Yeah. But that doesn't – me saying that doesn't mean that I don't think he's a darn good player and that he had some great moments. Once again, I mean, you submit yourself not with the game he had against Vandy, but with the diving catch that he had against Florida. Like –
everyone will remember him forever.
I'll remember that. I'll remember that probably forever. I could care less what he did against Vandy yesterday and the stats he put up. But the fact what he did against Clemson in the Orange Bowl, the catch that he made against Florida, like, dude was just
Those things matter so much more because you look back on other guys' careers at Tennessee that like no one talks about because the teams were bad and they didn't win much, and it was like there wasn't a significant thing. Like Robert Meacham was a fantastic wide receiver. But whenever everyone's like, oh, the wide receivers of Tennessee, no one brings him up. And I don't know why.
I disagree. We actually did something a couple weeks ago on Xbox Live, like top 5 best Vol wide receivers in our lifetime. And he was on there, but I get what you're saying.
I agree. I think he should be.
Yeah.
I just don't think that like a lot of people bring up his name when they're talking about great Tennessee receivers.
Yeah.
Like people will bring up, and it might be just recency, but people will bring up Juwan Jennings before they bring up Robert Meacham.
Right. And that's because Juwan, just him and his personality and that mentality. But no, agreed. And I mean, Robert Meacham was a better wide receiver than Juwan Jennings. Now, I'm not saying I would rather have Robert Meacham on my team than Juwan, but that's a different conversation for a different day. No, I agree with what you're coming with. Then you got McChicken, Callie.
Yeah, baby.
They called him Callie, or Coach Hype called him Callie. I was like, that's so much better than McChicken, which McChicken, we've been over it. It's not because he's a chicken. It's because of Mick and McDonald. So, but Mick Callie, we'll go with Mick Callie. It was great to have him for this year. I thought he was a darn good player. I'll be excited to see. I do think that he'll have a chance at the next level because of his size. Got some pretty good hands. I think he's going to test well.
I think he could be a really good special teams guy to start. Make the team that way.
And then an H-back type vibe. And then so it was great to have him. I for his sake, I wish we could have been a little bit better. He's coming in. He's like, dang, bro, like they just went 11-2 and had some massive wins. I would have loved to have gotten a victory against Florida for him, or played better against Georgia or whatever. But it was great to have him, and I'll be excited to see if he can turn anything out of the opportunities he gets. And then Jacob, we love Jacob. We love. It's not even fair how biased we are towards Jacob, but the guy's a class act.
So happy for him that he got some catches on Saturday, and that just it felt good.
Felt great. It felt great, and he's another one that I'll be excited to see what happens, because if the guy doesn't play at the next level, he should come back to Knoxville and run for mayor, or go be a congressman. I mean, the guy's awesome. So
yeah, exactly.
And I'll be excited for us to hopefully have him back on at some point down the road when he's done doing some of the stuff. So, anyways. Then there's Joe, and we've already talked about Joe, and that was another thing I said to a buddy. Everyone's like, well, he looked good yesterday. I was like, yeah, man, he did look good. Congrats, it's Vandy.
Versus Vandy, yeah.
And it's you're remembered for two reasons at the University of Tennessee, and this is in my opinion. You guys can have your other opinion. In my opinion, you're remembered at Tennessee for two things. You're either good, and you're just good. You're just flat out good. You're good. The 2 years, the 3 years you're here, you play good in the big games. You maybe have a couple big moments. You're just a good player. It's simple as that. Or, like we've talked about with a Ramel in the Florida catch, or Aaron Beasley in the Orange Bowl game, you're remembered because of what you do in big moments, in big games against Alabama, against Georgia, against Florida, and then even games like South Carolina or whatever. I mean, Jawan Jennings is remembered for, he necessarily maybe didn't beat an Alabama or whatever, but you're going to remember what he did against Florida. You're going to remember the Hail Mary catch. I still remember the absolute circus he put on South Carolina.
Oh yeah.
So you just remember what you did in big games, and Joe had a nice Orange Bowl, and I'll remember that for him. But then I'll also remember the fact that he had 12 games the next year to really cement himself or improve himself, and it just wasn't it. The guy, I think this team as a whole, and we'll get to this at the end of the year when we do our end of the year pod, when we look at everything as a whole, but I think this team was about who they are. They're about an 8-9 win team.
Yeah, we kind of talked about that last week.
Right. But I feel like if we had someone who was above average to good quarterback to playmaking quarterback, that one of these guys that doesn't have to be a Heisman guy, doesn't have to be amazing, but can help raise the level of the team around him, then it's okay, I'm going to remember Joe for that. I'm going to remember him like I remember Hendon, or like I remember, Josh Dobbs.
Yeah, and it's not even like we're asking that much of Joe. If he would have beat Florida and Missouri, he probably remembered a little bit differently. If he would have beat Florida, Missouri this year, and we were 10-2, and we lost to the two teams going to the SEC championship, he would be remembered differently.
Yeah, and he played well in the first half against Bama, and then it kind of fell apart. But I still will remember the A&M game, and going back and watching that film, and the countless, not necessarily mistakes, but whether they were the terrible interceptions that he had against South Carolina or an A&M, or just the plays that you and I would watch where Heupel drew up something beautiful, and your regular quarterback is going to hit it 9 out of 10 times or 9.5 out of 10 times, and he just refuses to let it go. And so, I just, I'm personally, this is just my opinion. Everyone can have their own opinions. My personal opinion is just I think he kind of held this team back. Well, I know for a fact he held this team back, and I'm just ready for him to be gone. And it's nothing personal. It's absolutely nothing personal. But the fact that he stayed to be a good teammate, I don't really give a shit about that. I don't care. I don't really care that. I mean, yeah. What was he going to do? Transfer again? And he stayed because he had Josh Heupel, and he just saw what Josh Heupel did with Hendon Hooker. There's not many other opportunities. So the whole he stayed and was a good teammate. Kyler, that's kind of what you're supposed to do. Not everyone does it, but you're kind of supposed to be a good teammate. And
not giving him bonus points for doing what he's supposed to be. You're supposed to be a good teammate. If you're a bad teammate, F you.
Right.
And nothing personal, like you said. He is a good Quarterback. Good. That's it. That's all he's at. Good.
I don't know if I think he's average. I don't know if I'd give him good.
I kind of see. I mean, if average is 50%, I would say good is 60 to 65.
Okay.
Like he's
Yeah,
good.
I said
You know
that's,
what? He's good enough for 8-4 record.
I think he's slightly above average, but I think good. You're getting in like 7.5 range.
Gotcha. Okay.
But yeah,
definitions of good. So seniors or guys that could technically be seniors that can come back.
Yeah, you may fire through this list for you?
Yeah, fire away.
Danico Slaughter, Jabari Small, Tyler Barron, Tamarian McDonald, Big Amari Thomas. I love how I just put Big O, so I said it like that. John Campbell, Jackson Lampley, Dane Davis, Spraggs, Gabe Giudiale, Warren Burrell, Brandon Turnage, Brew McCoy, Elijah Simmons, Wesley Walker, Omar Norman Lott was a junior who actually we had some juniors go through senior day, and then you got maybe Keenan Peli because he's been through 6 years, but maybe he can get a medical, so he's kind of up in the air. But there's a lot of guys on this list, Kyler, that I want back, and there's a lot of guys on this list that I'll be interested to see what happens. I think Tyler Barron's got to go. If I'm talking to him, I'm like, bro, just go. Like,
yeah, I don't think there's much chance. He is not the body type, prototypical type to be able to get like that first round draft grade. James Pierce is that body type, right? You just look at like Chase Young or the Bosa brothers when they're in college, and you're like, they fit the bill and they're productive. I don't know if Tyler like fits that bill because he is kind of a tweener, which I absolutely love. He's been incredible doing that, playing D end and 3 technique. But he like the type of game he plays, he's not a first round draft pick. So it's like, buddy, if you can get a solid third, like be happy with that.
Yeah, and I'll be interested to see what grade he gets. What grade he gets, where he does go. Now, maybe he gets a grade that he's like a 3 or 4 or 5. I don't know. I'm bad about this type of stuff, but when it goes to the NFL, but if they give him a 3 to a 5 and he can make some money on the NIL and come back, like, and he's like, okay, maybe I can become a second, then like, sure, I'd love to have him back. But selfishly, I'm guessing that he probably needs to go ahead and start working on that NFL career. But I'm telling you, it's just such a wild dynamic and landscape. But I thought he was a fantastic player. I really, really did. And so I know Big O will be an interesting one, and Omar Norman Lott are 2 guys that I would love to have back, and I think they'd be very valuable for this team to have back. Now, I'm not going to say who told me, but I do know that.
I think Omar Norman Lott, it's like, what are you doing? Like, if he tries to go somewhere, it's like, dude, what are you doing? Like, you didn't even have this production in Arizona State. Like, you have more production here. You're getting coached by a better D-line coach in Rodney Garner. And like you didn't do enough over your career to try it at the next level. Like, stay. Enjoy it. Play another year. We like you.
Yeah, and what I was going to say is I've been told through the grapevine that like Big O and Amari and maybe some other guys are ones that they're going to be like, hey, here's some NIL. Like we need to keep you. We want to keep you because they know the value that they could bring. And I think Omar Norman Lott can have a chance in the league because of his quickness. And I think he's a productive player. And I thought that he was a productive player in big moments. You don't necessarily think that he has a chance in the league?
Not right. Not after this year.
No. I'm not talking about this. I'm talking about in general.
Yeah, that's all I'm saying is after this year.
Okay.
He doesn't have a chance. He can get better and have that opportunity for sure, but no.
Okay. Brew, I would love for Brew to come back, but after an injury like that, if if he can get a decent grade and go and test well and go get some money, like go do it. He's already an older guy. He's been around for a while, but I think he knows it, that Tennessee would love to have him back and probably do what they could to get him back.
Mm-hmm.
I would love a Wesley Walker or Tamarion McDonald to come back personally.
I would love both of them. I mean, yeah. I thought they were really like good star guys for us. Those nickel positions, moving around to safety. Like I liked them both as soon as they got on the field.
And listen, this is just who can come back. So I know we're talking about some people who didn't go. Like, if I'm not mistaken, Wesley went through. Tamarion did not go through. So it does look like he will come back. I just want you all listening to know that we're just straight up talking about who can come back, whether they went through or not, and just saying who we like. Obviously, we want Danico Slaughter back. I would like John Campbell to come back. And I think, I'm not the offensive lineman here, but I think he can come back and improve on his game.
I think so, definitely. And I think we'll need him back. If anything, I mean, playing offensive line, if it's taught me anything, you're going to have guys go down. You need depth. It's just, even if you're not a starter, you're probably going to start one game. Like my last couple of years, I was the only guy that didn't go out. Like every other position got hurt at some point during the year, and we had to move guys around. So it's
Why don't you brag about it a little bit more?
I will. Fucking rock of consistency.
I drank my milk and ate my vegetables growing up.
It's the only thing I can brag about, man. No one remembers my catches, throws, and touchdowns. I gotta brag about not rolling my ankle for 26 games.
Yeah, I think it would be good for Spraggs to come back. I think if Gabe Giudicelli came back, I think it could help us. I don't know where. I don't know where, and he could come back and be more consistent, and probably help his stock. But if he tries to give it a shot, I wouldn't be surprised, because there were some flashes that I saw that I think that he could be decent. And I mean, corners and offensive linemen are so needed in the NFL. So we'll see what happens there. You know, another one of these things is, now you love ball, I love ball. If I had another chance to stay at Tennessee another year, I would do it. But you don't know what some of these guys are like. Hey, like I'm toasted, man. I've been here 5 years. I don't need to go 6. Like, you know, I'm not going to get
some
much.
Some guys are definitely going to.
Yeah. No, some guys. Yeah, Dane Davis, that boy would stay here for 9 years if he could.
We'll see you next year, Dane. Can't wait.
Yeah. So, but some of these guys are like, if I came back, I'm probably not going to get any NIL money or enough to really move the needle. I don't really have a chance in the league, but none of these guys think that. They all think they got a chance in the league. And so
I want to go through another year of school.
Yeah. So Elijah Simmons can come back. I'd love to have big Elijah back. Warren Burrell and Brandon Turnage, I don't have any beef against them at all. I think they've both had. I think Warren's played some decent ball at some times. Brandon, I thought that he would maybe be a little bit better when he came in, but those honestly, I could see like a Warren Burrell transfer to a smaller school to play, and I could see a Brandon Turnage, transferring, even though this should be a second time transferring. Like those, I wouldn't be surprised if they entered the portal to go try to find a home somewhere, just because they know what we have below them and what we're primed to bring in and stuff like that. So,
I mean, you saw young guys playing in front of them on Saturday, so it's kind of like, writing's on the wall. Right.
And then Jabari Small, he can come back, but he went through senior day. That one's kind of a head scratcher to me, because I don't really know if he's an NFL guy. I would say probably not. But then again, like, I didn't necessarily maybe expect to see, Ty Chandler scoring touchdowns for the Minnesota Vikings. Not that I ever thought he was bad. I'm just not good at this projection stuff with certain. But then I could see Jamari coming back and maybe getting a little bit of NIL stuff because he's a running back. But I don't know. That was the one that's interesting to me.
it's weird at running back. A lot of the times you really just need depth in the NFL at running back. Guys get hurt a lot. There's only a few that are the guy, like there's you don't find Christian McCaffrey's all over the place. You don't find Saquon Barkley's all over. Like there's a few that are the guy, but some of these backup, like maybe I might be able to see Jabari be a journeyman in the NFL, something like that. I mean, kind of like how John Kelly has done in the NFL. He's just kind of been like a practice squad guy, backup running back, was bouncing around. But yeah, Jabari, like, it's like, dude, you're not running a 4.4. You don't have a lot of like catches out of the backfield for your position. So like, I don't know. You're going to have to play some good special teams.
Yeah, I like Jabari a lot, but I never saw. I mean, I think John Kelly was a much better back, and so I get why he was able to hang around for. He's finally out, but he hung around for 4 or 5, 6 years. But I could see that with John. Like John was like an every down back. He could kind of do it all, and so I wasn't surprised with that. But I don't know. We'll see what happens. I mean, there's some guys on that list that I definitely want back, and I probably should have started the pod with this. But everyone, things are about to get crazy. It's this time of year. Everyone just take a deep breath. You got to trust Coach Heupel. You got to trust his staffers. You got to trust, they're going to do their best to bring in guys that they think can help. There's going to be some guys that enter the portal that you might freak out about, but maybe they were asked to go ahead and find another place. And then there's going to be guys that enter the portal that maybe come back. So I just feel bad for those people that are going to freak out and live on every tweet or Instagram story or whatever.
It's already happened.
I know.
Somebody said Dylan Sampson's transferring, and people were freaking out about it.
I know. I saw it on there. So, but if you choose to hang on every word and stuff, then that's okay. I'm just trying to help you out here and say it's just that crazy time of the year where there's going to be a lot of stuff, and so
exactly. Let's not jump to conclusions.
And you said it last year. The transfer portal door goes both ways. It's somebody. There can always be somebody coming right back through.
Exactly. All right. Is that all? We touched on everybody. Thank you, seniors. Appreciate it. Some of them went through some pretty tumultuous time periods. So thank you for sticking it out. Guys like, Jacob, for instance. Okay, let's get into this Vandy game. Now, I don't have it sectioned off as offense defense a little bit because of just the way of watching this game. It was kind of like, you know what? Yay. Like, good for you. Like, I'm glad that you guys got that. But I also know that these guys suck. It's like, how much am I supposed to congratulate you for beating up a 5-year-old? Like, good job, you won your fight, man. So just some of the stuff that I was watching, some of the plays that were happening and runs and things on offense, I'm kind of like, I wonder what a Georgia defender would have done right there. I wonder if that pass would have been completed if it was versus Georgia. I wonder if that tackle would have been broken if it was versus Georgia. Like, it's just, it doesn't help that we played Georgia the week before because it skewed all of my judgment on everything that they were doing offensively and even defensively too. I was just like, oh my gosh, like this is. Come on, tackle the guy from Vandy. He's from Vandy. But
so yeah, no, I get you. I hear you. A couple things. First off, I got why Clark Lee was upset. I would have been livid too when his quarterback gets blasted and the whistle doesn't get blown and all that. So I get why he's mad.
And then gets hit again.
Yeah. You got to stand up for your guys. I've heard some people acting like he was I've heard people talking, saying that he was acting like a clown and has anger issues and all this stuff. It's like, what are you talking about? Like, he's got to stand up for his guys. Like,
I mean, watching the game, I thought he was like way like timid for the position he was in. Like I almost was like before that incident was like feeling bad for him. It's like, God, dude, this guy's the head coach of Vandy. Like he's got to deal with like these losing seasons, and he's trying to like get them up for this game as like playing high. And every time it panned over to him, I didn't think that he was hot headed. It's not like when you pan over and you watch Shane Beamer pacing back and forth and like that's not what you saw out of him. So when he got upset, I was like, yeah, warranted. I get it.
Yeah, you gotta go to battle for your guys. I mean, they had enough of it, and but I like seeing Tennessee. I like seeing Tennessee. Like we're not gonna get punked, and they're gonna stand up for their guys as well. So I was fine with it. I did think it was hilarious that the Vandy guy tried to keep the ball when he thought that it was the fumble recovery when Squirrel, and our ball boy was like over in there. Did you see this? It was unbelievable, bro. Like this Vandy guy was just trying to keep, like as if it's like the NFL and Peyton Manning just threw his 9th millionth touchdown and he's gonna like keep the ball, or a receiver's first touchdown, or their like 80th touchdown, or whatever, like these real monumental things. Like this guy's playing for a 2-9 Vandy, and I don't even think he was the one that caused the fumble. I think he just fumble recovered it, and he was like wanting to keep it. It's like, what are we doing, guy? Like, get a grip. I love like having things that remind me of the past and little, memorabilia or, cool, neat things like that. But like, what are we doing? So I started cracking up. I was like, if that's where we're at, is you got to keep a ball from a fumble recovery on your 2-9 season, then that's funny. But then I guess we got the ball back because it wasn't even a fumble. Squirrels.
Yeah, exactly.
I just don't know if anyone else saw that. It was quite comical. Couple things. Thought Chaz Nimrod had some good blocks. I'm excited to see how he progresses. I thought the O-line gave Joe some really good time.
Yeah.
Everyone is one like, why does the play calling look different? Why is it this? Why are we not doing this? Why are we not being aggressive? Da-da-da. It's like, well, first off, and this even goes for you and I, like we've had coaches film before, but we don't necessarily get all the coaches film. So we don't necessarily get to see certain deep shots or where the safety is playing if someone was open or not open, which maybe that's a good thing because maybe we would have gotten even more frustrated with Joe.
For sure.
But it's like there was our deep our deep post / deep, go route, whatever you want to call, not a go right, but a deep post or deep seam to Ramel. There it is. But guess what? Like it's against Vandy, so it's there. So it's like,
that's exactly what I thought. I was just like, guess what? We're gonna throw the same ball versus Georgia, and that guy's draped all over Ramel and bats the ball away. And then what are you guys saying?
Yeah. So it's like they're like, well, we didn't, Heupel didn't call it the same this year. Why haven't we seen, deep shots this year? Why has he changed the offense? Whatever. It's like, well, depending on how good the level of coaches are, how good the level of the players are you're playing against, or what their scheme may be, or whatever. But it's like Heupel didn't just freak out and, like we said, forget how to coach. So there's your deep shot, great ball, great catch. It was cool. Defensively, neither Beasley or Elijah got a hand on the guy up the middle. That is uncalled for.
I thought there was some like sleeping going on defense, kind of just like it's all right, like because there was a lot of yards gained by Vandy. They weren't able to capitalize that much because they're not that good, but there was yards, first downs on first down, that it's like, what are we doing here, guys?
Yeah, well, first off, I think their first drive was very much scripted. They knew what they wanted to do. They knew what Beanbull had done against us with the outside runs and the sweeps and the different motions, and they get our linebackers and different people's eyes in the wrong direction. Plus, then our linebackers aren't the most physically gifted, so if their eyes are in the wrong position, they're not going to be. So it's like, I get where they did it. But then Tennessee was able to settle in and make the stops. And it was also funny, too, because we would give up some stuff. It's like we were playing basketball against the little brother, and it's like it's the first 1 to 10, and he gets to 7, and then you start playing defense. And then You know what I mean? And so it felt like, okay, guys, we're third down. Like, let James Pierce eat. Let him off the leash. Here's Tyler Barron. Here's Joshua Joseph. Here's, whoever else. Like, let's put them in their place type deal.
Yeah.
Will Brook, I thought, disengaged really well on the end around, but then he missed a tackle, and then it was overrun by Beasley and Turrentine.
Yeah.
And then on the one that they did score, Beasley was literally the only one that saw it and tried to get to it, and he ran into Elijah with Elijah's eye still in the backfield.
Lost. Elijah is lost, dude. And I watched it again, and his eyes even dart to the guy who had the ball, and he watched him run away and went the other way. I'm like, dude, what are you even looking at?
Yeah. So I thought it was cool that they shouted this out, because these people that want to talk about the offensive line not being very good or not being developed, I thought the offensive line overall was pretty good, pretty solid this year. But we had 9 different starters, the guys that started. And there were times where I thought they played pretty darn solid with either how well we ran the ball, or times where I thought Joe had plenty of time. Another one where he had good production. Defensively, Danico needs to get off a block. This is the one, Kyler, I was talking to you about. And it was disheartening, but it was just a run to the outside to the right. They don't block Elijah Herring. They don't block him. And as a linebacker, now I played middle linebacker. I loved it. If I could, I would have been 6'2" and 240 and run a 4.5, and I would have played linebacker for 20 years if they'd allowed me. It's like my favorite thing in the world. But that's not what happened. But I did get to play it in high school, and it was a blast. And whether you play it in Pee-wee, middle school, any level of college or pro or whatever, if you're a middle linebacker and you were untouched, nobody, and it's a run play and you can't affect the play at all, something's up. Something is up. Whether you're not – listen, there was plenty of guys I was chasing down to tackle that was much faster than me, but, like, if you're physically – we've talked about this. If you're limited physically, you got to be really good with your eyes. You got to be really good with your steps. You got to be really good with your anticipations and your football instincts. Yeah. But I was just like, all the great linebackers that we've had at Tennessee, and we're at a position where a middle linebacker does not even get touched, and he doesn't make the play, and then he doesn't even – once again, he would not have touched him if it was flag football or two-hand touch. And I want to say that. I don't want to beat up on him at all, because he is still younger, and he can still be a good player at Tennessee. It's just something that I wanted to point out that I saw.
It's like you said, none of this is personal. It is about your play on the field. If there is some way that he is not being told this by his coaches, they need to be fired
immediately.
Like, this needs to be pounded into his head. I don't care if this is the last game of the season, of the regular season. You have a bowl game. This needs to be addressed. This needs to be talked about. I think he did get a little bit of a ringing on the sideline, because after that touchdown that they let up, he didn't start the next drive. They had T-Lander in there the next drive. So it was like a little bit of like, get your freaking ass out. T-Lander, get in there. Do what you can do. And let me talk to Elijah, and let me try and get him on the right page. But then you had that play happened after that one. So it's like, you're at a point where the coach is like, either I'm putting in a freshman or I'm putting in Elijah. It's like there's not a lot of choices there.
I do want to shout out, I think Caleb Perry played decently well. He didn't do – there's not a ton that I remember this year that I was like, oh, wow, that was awesome, like really good, Caleb. But there wasn't really much that I don't remember being like, holy crap, like that was brutal and that was bad. So – but this game, now granted it is Vandy, and we've already mentioned that, but I thought there were some times where I thought he was in much better position, and I'll be excited to see when he becomes a true junior, or junior. I don't know if he redshirted or whatever. I don't think he did, but when he becomes a junior and senior, how he's matured and how he And people need to remember that. Like we've said it once, we'll say it a million times. People mature at different rates. I mean, you didn't play your first 3 years. And so it takes some people some time. So, but I thought Caleb did pretty well. We both love T-Lander just because of his aggressive nature.
Towards the end of the game when he was in and it was pretty much over, like there was a drive where he made the tackle like 5 plays in a row. Like he was all over the place. And I was like, dang, man, I really like T-Lander's motor. I like his effort. I like the fact that he sticks his face in the fan, doesn't care. It's like, I really hope that his athletic ability can keep up with that. And it's not, hey, I'm getting pushed around by big offensive linemen from Alabama and Georgia, so I can't play linebacker for Tennessee. You know what I mean? Like, I really hope that his athletic ability can keep up with his effort and his want to.
Yeah, no, he's young. I mean, he's a freshman. He's a true freshman. I think the guy could be an absolute problem as a junior and senior. And, because that's what a middle linebacker is supposed to do. You're supposed to be going sideline to sideline. You're supposed to be – we all want those big hits where you stop someone in the backfield, whatever. But if you make a tackle 5 yards downfield, like that's what a middle linebacker is supposed to do. You're supposed to sit there and just eat and collect all the problems. So it'll be interesting to see how all those guys develop. And then if we bring anyone in, which we'll talk about that. Second 9, nice blocking. Joe steps up in the pocket well, and Caleb has a step. He still needs to catch the ball. It's a jump ball. He needs to make that catch. But then also, again, you throw a better ball. You take it back one season, and we're not trying to drill you in the head with Hendon, Jalen, Cedric, but it's just to give you an example. We had guys running with steps on people, and they would catch it and walk into the end zone. If we got Caleb Webb that's beat a guy, but he has to stop and then come back for one, like it makes a difference. So I thought it was super nice coverage on defense by Gabe. I want to shout him out. Offensively, another nice blocking. The whole right side just collapsed down and crushed. Jabari had a nice little run.
Yep.
Nice route combo, nice throw, nice catch by Castle. All three. It was just a really nice, pretty easy, simple play.
Well, we talked about this the other day. Watching that play, I was like, oh, great, touchdown. Like, that was good. And I was like, it was kind of a bullet. There wasn't much, loft on that ball. It kind of rocketed in there. And then I just kept watching. It was like watching Joe. It's like, oh, okay. Well, he didn't look at anybody else. So it's like they got to that spot. And Coach Heupel goes, all right, guys, you two are going to run 2 slants. You are going to run into the flat, then wheel up the side. Joe, Castles is the guy we're trying to hit. Throw it to him. So it was like, here is the plan. It will work because I know it will work on their defense. Joe, just don't fuck this up. And I swear to God, if that was Georgia's defense, that's an interception. Like, it was right over Buddy's head.
Well, let me say this. First, it was a great play call because it was a great man beater. But
yes,
in the defense, Patrick Mahomes, one of the best in the world, yesterday had a throw just like that where it went right over Buddy's head and Travis Kelce catch it. I'm not going to praise how awesome that is when Patrick Mahomes does it and knock Joe for it. I thought it was sick. I mean, he put it right on Buddy, and it was a nice hand catch by Castle. So I get where you're coming from. For me and myself, I can't be like that would be a hater and not that would almost be.
I'm working in the what ifs. These are ifs and buts. So I get it. You can't like if it was a Georgia defender. So I get it.
I don't know though. If it was a Georgia defender and he's chasing, he maybe doesn't turn around.
Maybe.
If ands, Kansas and buds, whatever that saying is. All right. Yeah. Offense, I know you love the Jacob Pop pass. Great to see it. Motion.
I want to see it every fucking game.
Yeah.
That's all I'll say. I was like, this works every time. Please run it more.
Then you got Jacob getting a tutty. And what's he do? He does the motion out. Squirrel shows it like it's a screen. Those DBs have seen this on film 9 million times, and then we will route up right off of it, and it's just beautiful, and it's a great play design. You have to be very disciplined. They weren't. Good catch by Jacob. And it was a nice move up in the pocket by Joe. Defense, super nice recognition by Ricky. So we got to see Ricky Tan. So we got to see Ricky Gibson. He's in there. It's a very good. He diagnoses the play really well. He gets just enough to trip the guy up on the screenplay, and then we were giggling at Elijah.
Rolling over top of Buddy.
It's just when he gets going and he gets that motor gun and he gets running, it's adorable. I mean, it literally looks like it looks like a bulldog jumping off the couch and running into the kitchen going for his food. That's what it looks like. I'm going. Yeah. And then when they get there, they just eat.
That's right.
So, and then awesome catch by Callie. Joe with another wide open guy and not a great throw. And Callie has to catch it and keep his feet in bounds. But it was a nice catch. And then I have the offense, nice play design. So this was after Callie caught that. They wanted to get him another throw, and they do it was a play design where they bring Castle in motion, and then it's the play action and the play action in here. And I couldn't tell what happened to the throw. I don't know if Joe threw it too hard, too low, if it got banged up. I don't know. It wasn't completely.
Yeah, they didn't show us another angle. I was like, was that defender kind of in his view? Like what? Yeah. I didn't know why he missed him because he seemed like Castles was open.
It did, and that's why I can't tell. So then everyone that was screaming for D to get touches on offense. Heupel tried to give him a bone, get a touch here on offense, get him in the end zone on senior day. Unfortunately, it wasn't blocked. The Vandy guy made a good play. Defensively, this is something that I love to see. Tyree West, that boy can move. I mean, he can move. Now, I don't want to do what some fans did to Heupel in the fact that Heupel had a great year last year.
Yeah.
Now they act like he's not as good because we didn't win as many games. And I'm not going to say I thought we would see more of Tyree West this year because we did see him as a true freshman. And I still think he could be a really good player as a junior and senior. But when he's coming, he came off the edge super nice. And he's not an edge player. He came off the edge super nice. He was shot out of a cannon up the middle. And so when you see Tyree West, James Pierce, Dalvin Hobbs, a true freshman, and they're all meeting at the quarterback, that's a nice feeling moving forward because all those guys are young pieces. Another one Then I have another one on here, Tyree so darn fast up the middle, JP and Double J, Joshua Joseph, meeting at the quarterback again. We're going to need that to continue to grow and build. And then that was basically all the plays that I really had because that was up till halftime.
Yeah.
And then we had Nico, and all I'll say about Nico is every time I see him, it just solidifies that I still think that he's going to be really, really good. And I told someone the other day, my jaw will be dropped, and I will be shocked, and I will probably be a little bit shook and not doing well if something happened where he wasn't as good as I think he's going to be.
Yeah.
He just shows you all – he has all the physical attributes, but he shows you the intangibles that you have to have. I mean, the one where he snaps it and he looks and he doesn't have it and he gets out of the pocket, runs, gets 8 yards, puts the little ball out to get that extra yard. Just that little bit of gamesmanship, bro. He's just different. He's just different.
It really is. I mean, you watch him out there, you feel like he can do whatever he needs to. That's the feeling you have. It's he needs to hit a dig. Oh, he needs to hit a post. He needs to hit a slant. He needs to hit a go. Oh, he needs to run for himself. Oh, he needs to find some time with his legs. He can do it all. You watch it, you're like, holy crap, yes, he can. I'm totally there with you. If he were to somehow not be a good quarterback, I would not know how to evaluate quarterbacks. I'd be like, okay, then I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. Because watching this guy, I'm like, yeah, he's got it. And he's going to be under Heupel. This is going to be awesome. There's so much hope with him.
It's weird for you and I, too, because we will not get fired up about recruits. And it's so we're not watching him in his stupid pajama pants throw for 9 touchdowns in a passing league.
7 on 7.
Yeah, we're not even watching him in high school and getting excited. Like, it's here, it's now. Like, we're seeing it in games, and I don't care who the competition is, because, like I said, he didn't even go out there and throw for 3 tutties and a couple hundred yards. It's just the little things that we know that make you really good. And dude's just a gamer, bro. Dude is just a gamer. Like, you can just see it in him. And if there's an alternate universe where I could lay it in bed and close my eyes and watch the entire Tennessee season with him as the starting quarterback, or we'll give Joe the Florida game, and then it looks bad. So then we got Nico the rest of the year. I don't know. I definitely don't think the team's worse. There's no way I think we're any worse than 8-4, and I think we may actually have one more win than we do now. We'll never know. We'll never.
Yeah.
And
Ifs and buts.
Yeah. It's just something funny. It's just something.
No, but I agree with you. Like, you just watch it. He's a gamer. He barely had any incompletions, and he had like 3 drops. So it was like he was hitting the guys where they needed to be hit on all their routes. He wasn't missing anybody. I thought it was great. You know, you talk about some of those young guys playing on the D-line, like seeing Tyree West, seeing Hobbs out there, knowing that JJ's coming back, knowing that James Pierce. It's like, wow, okay, we got some young dudes coming in. And like Addison Nichols on the O-line. Like, he played almost the whole game because Cooper went out after a couple drives. And it was like, great. I'm so glad Addison's in there. I like, get him some reps. I want him to play more. I want there to be a competition between now and the bowl game between him and Lampley. See who can start at guard in the bowl game. Let me know.
We didn't talk that Coop's coming back. I think you all know how we feel about that. Yeah. I think it's a massive, massive win for the team, and I think it's good for Cooper as well.
I agree.
You all know how important that is, and we don't need to. We already state the obvious enough sometimes, but we don't need to state the obvious with him. So massive for him. I'll be honest. I thought Jackson Lampley played pretty fine. From what I saw, I thought Jackson Lampley played pretty well. He was fine. And I was talking to Jack the other day or yesterday on the phone, and he was telling me he's in a group meet with some other friends, another group of guys that I know them, but I'm not in this group meet, and how they were just dogging the offensive line and dogging Glenn Ellerby, how he hasn't done a good job. And I was like, well, first off, that's crazy talk. And I was like, second off, they were talking about how he swung and missed already on Addison Nichols. I said, Jack, like, just remove yourself from the situation, because these guys clearly don't know what they're talking about. He's been in the program for 2 years. Or is it a year?
This is his second.
Yeah.
So it hasn't been a full 2 years.
Right. So it's like, dude, calm down. Calm down. Just because he's a 4-star doesn't mean that he's got to play and like start right away. Like, take a chill pill. And for them to say,
guess what? If there's ever a big deal in the difference of a senior and a freshman by position, it's the offensive and defensive line. Okay. You can be fast as a wide receiver, as a corner. An 18-year-old boy versus a 21, 22-year-old man is a lot different on the offensive and defensive line.
Kyler, nowadays it's like an 18-year-old freshman versus like a 24-year-old senior or 23.
Yeah, with the COVID years.
I mean, it's like, yeah, there's not a comparison. So I'm glad that you mentioned that, because when Jack told me that they were like wanting Glenn Ellerby fired, and I was like, dude, Glenn Ellerby, I thought, has done a really, really nice job since he's been here. You're the old lineman. What do you think?
Yeah, I think he's done a great job. I think last year having the stewards, the rocks of Jerome and Darnell was really big, and having those guys, and it sucks to lose them. That's a tough thing to overcome. Then he's got all these injuries. I don't think that he's sitting over there struggling to develop these guys. Like, that's not what's happening. We on this podcast have mentioned multiple times how good we thought John Campbell, Gerald Mincy, Jeremiah Crawford were playing individually, all three at the same position. So it's like, no, like Glenn Ellerby is doing exactly what he needs to do. And you listen to any interview with any offensive lineman, they love that group. They love the unit of the offensive line. It's a family, and that's how it needs to be in that group. You need to be close with every single guy there.
Well, I mean, just look how Dane Davis has improved in his time being there. Ollie Lane, how he's improved. I mean, yes, I know that Darnell Wright was a massive 5-star prospect, and I'm not saying that they were the sole reason, but he wasn't going top 10 before this new staff came in.
Yeah.
I mean, he just wasn't. And so and then Jerome was a really good piece. I've been fine with the offensive line with the pieces that they've had. I thought they've done a nice job. I mean, hell, we were one of the best rushing teams in the entire nation for most of the year. Like you don't do
what? How does that happen, guys? What do you do? How do you get rushing yards?
Right. Sorry to change this because I have the iPad. I've been watching it. This 3rd and 3 when they won the read option with Nico, and the guy meets him at the line of scrimmage, and he swings out of it and gets. I was like, oh my gosh! I was like, the dude's a slender man, and he can still break tackles. I mean,
that's the craziest part. You're like, oh, this guy's gonna break in half, and he just brushes buddy off. That's another thing that I'm saying. It's like he can do whatever you need him to. There's no limitation.
He's Booby Miles, baby.
Yeah, that's right. You want to win? Put Booby in.
Yeah, remember when his uncle's sitting up there? He can pass, he can catch, he can throw, he can paint your front porch. Anyways, yeah. So, how do you feel about the future moving forward with things? Whether it's,
I'm excited. Like, I am pumped for the bowl game. I want to figure out who we're going to play. I hope it's a good team. I hope that we can see some guys that maybe we haven't seen a ton of and get to play. Like, I'm not going to be upset if Joe's like, I don't want to get hurt. I'm going to get ready for the Senior Bowl. Like, I wouldn't be mad. Like, let him do what he wants to do. Let's put Nico in there. I'm excited. You named off young guys that are coming back. We talked about the guys that are coming back. You have your quarterback that you've been waiting on for a couple years now. Like, this answers our questions. It's also, hey, the people who might have doubts out there about Coach Heupel, I do not at all. I think he is the right person. We're going to figure out if Nico cannot be a winning quarterback under Heupel, then we're going to figure out the writing will be on the wall for Heupel. He got the number 1 ranked recruit, like the 5-star quarterback in. If you can't do anything with that, then yeah, you might not be a good coach. So it's like, we're getting our answer regardless. I cannot wait to see it. I love the hope for the future when you have a young nucleus and a young quarterback behind there. Like, that offseason is so exciting. So I'm pumped. I'm pumped for the future.
I told you this today. I sometimes, I always want to win them. But, if there's a time when we're 6-6 or 7 wins and we go to a bowl game, it's like, hey, this is year 1 or year 2. Like, yeah, I would like to win it, but whatever. Like, it's not going to change the trajectory of our season or our off season. But I'm big in,
vibes.
Yeah, I'm a big vibe guy. I'm a big moving forward. I think, we have early signing day in December that you reminded me of. But if you can go out and blast somebody, and if it is Nico throwing for a ton of yards and it looks really fun and we're throttling, that only helps when you're recruiting high school guys or transfer portal people. And it's like, I just want to keep the good trajectory going. Like, let's go out and bully somebody and just show them like, hey, here's what's up. Let's get this thing going.
Yeah. Hype go. You see my quarterback? Do you see him in the bowl game? You want to play with him? He's going to throw you a lot of balls. You want to play?
We're going to score a lot of points, and we're going to hopefully win a lot of games.
That's right. And for that SEC champ, baby. All right, brother.
See you, brother.
What a season.
Well, it's not finished yet.
Not quite finished yet. So I'll just throw it out here now. While we're here, me and Reed probably won't be doing podcasts every week during the off season. We're going to kind of finish out through the bowl game, give some recaps on stuff. Want to go over everybody who signs with Tennessee, and what they look like for the future. So we'll go over some of that stuff, and then might come back around during spring practice, come back around during training camp. But during the off season, we'll be taking a little bit of hiatus. We'll say that.
It's been 3 straight years of year round, so we need a little break. But the good thing is we can pop back up anytime if something happens big on a transfer portal or whatever the case may be. Yeah, we'll still have our bowl breakdown. We'll still have our final season breakdown, and we'll still have one recruiting pod. So
exactly. So you're still seeing these beautiful faces. Don't worry.
Yeah, you're beautiful and sexy face.
Oh, I appreciate that. Yeah, thank you. I think you're very beautiful too, Reed.
I'm gonna go eat. I'll see you later.
All right, see you, man. Okay, thank you guys so much for watching and listening. If you are watching, please like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and leave a comment. If you're just listening, rate and review, download and re-download, and follow us on all those listening platforms. Also follow us on social media at Pancakes and Bacon for our main account on Twitter, at Pancakes and Bacon _RTI on Instagram. If you want to follow Reed, it is at rbacon26 on Twitter. And then for myself, it is just at Kyler Kerberson on all social medias. So check me out there. Thank you guys for riding along with us during this season. It's been a little bit of a roller coaster, but appreciate you nonetheless. And as always, go Vols.